For me, engaging with a dead body is actually a very, very beautiful thing. Singing him stories, she once told him rhymes. He strokes her cold and paper skin. Smoothing his hair, she once sent him off to school. He sees her watch pulse seconds, but no blood flows. Kissing his terrors gone, she once held his infant head. He wears the stillness of her corpse now. All her rocking stopped. He knows the time. Grief is so powerful. It's such a wonderful thing. When you're in the pits of despair and you are grieving at the loss of someone you love and you know you're not going to see them on this earth again, that feels awful and dreadful, and there's a vacuum there and an emptiness and a kind of hopelessness. But then you realize it's wonderful. Because grief comes like a friend, and you can invite grief. Most of the time it's subconscious, I think, but you can consciously say, I think I need to sit down, have a cry. And that happened after my mum and dad were so busy organising the funeral, and people are, you know, I mean, when someone dies, there's an awful lot to do, and right in the middle of that, I thought, I just need to lock myself away for a day and do some grieving. And I did that. I shut the door, didn't have my phone, didn't have anything. And I spent the time sleeping, crying, being still, reflecting. In our culture, we're terrible at talking about death, sharing stories about death, grief, and bereavement. And it doesn't matter what age you are. You will always be childlike in the way in which you will miss someone you love. Allow the child in you to want to be cuddled by the person you've lost. You'll always be wanting to cuddle. You'll always be wanting someone to hold you. And it doesn't matter it's obvious if you're 10. We all know children need nurturing and comforting. But if you're 15, if you're 25, 35, 45, 65, as I find myself now, I think there's a fear among adults that we should become childlike again because it's about loss of control, among other things. I feel there is a misunderstanding and a devaluation of the whole idea of childlikeness. Even though we're intelligent enough to realise the difference between childishness and childlikeness. But being like a child is one of the greatest gifts that you've got. When my brother Mark died, I went on a journey of going back through our childhood and charting what had happened, where we'd been, the games we'd played, the things we'd done, the trees we'd climbed, as a way of letting go. And I'm particularly concerned about young people between the ages of, late teens up to 30, who given that stage of life is a very tricky one, and if they lose someone close to them, quite often they're not equipped, I don't think, with the maturity that is yet to arrive. Plus the fact that they maybe have divorced themselves from the childlikeness that they experienced when they were younger. And to be able to grieve and know what grieving is and to have the support and so on may not happen for them. And it's vital that that need is seen and provided for, that there should be support there. And we are all very vulnerable when we're new to grief. And grief, you feel sucked into a vortex of grief. And of course you will want to find ways of carrying on with life. I want to say a little bit about my mum and dad, both of whom died very recently. And I've got with me a necklace. This was my mum's, and this nearly got thrown away. And then I stopped and I looked, and they're red. And my mum's middle name was Ruby. I suddenly couldn't throw it away. I thought, there's a string of rubies here. And they're worth little or nothing. They're just glass, you know. And I think for any one of us, when we stumble across something that belonged to someone who died, it invests in us something we don't expect. On the night my mum died, and the following few days, I did, of course, grieve for my mum and for my dad, all in one, but it hit me, bam, out of nowhere. I suddenly was grieving for my brother who died 16 years before. And you feel you've assigned stuff to the past. I've done that. That grieving for Mark was so long ago. But no, it's not. And grief never leaves you. I had a wonderful experience with my dad. I cupped my left hand under his head and I just felt the weight like that. And then I felt a pulse. And in that split second, I thought, well, of course it's a pulse. It's him. He's alive, you know, but hang on, he's dead. Oh, wait a minute. And it was a pulse in my hand. And this was a stone cold, heavy head reflecting, mirroring. There's a wonderful moment there of being grateful for the life my dad gave me, and now his was spent. For me, engaging with a dead body is actually a very, very beautiful thing. But I have to say, for all of the 3 people close to me who've died, spending time with them after death has been extremely significant for me, even if it is cutting my brother's nose hairs before he was buried.
Penelope Beth poured scorn on death, even laughing as she slept. But when her life ceased, she howled like a beast, and she wept, and she wept, and she wept.
When an adult says to someone, oh, stop behaving like a child, actually, my response is, well, I'm glad they're behaving like a child. But what people mean is stop being childish. But they say like a child. And that is a really unfortunate misrepresentation of what being childlike is. It's about being playful, it's about being innocent, it's about being open, it's about loving, it's about giving love, receiving love. Childlikeness is about taking risks and delighting in the unexpected, the true creativity. Something happens, you react to it. And how adults today need to be able to be good creative thinkers and problem solvers. And death is all around us, and when we're kids, we just accept it. It is what it is, you know. But as adults, we see it as a health hazard, or we see it as a problem. And we don't readily talk about death and dying.